Welcome to a brief introduction to Letterland's Fix It Phonics programme with me, Leslie White. I'm very proud to be Letterland's Director of Training, and I hope that I can talk you through some of the items and some of the ways that we teach and use our material. But as I repeat, this is a brief overview of the two early programs within the Fix It Phonics range. When most people look inside a book, all they see are plain black letters. That's because they've never been to Letterland, but we have a secret that we want to share, a secret that helps children to interpret the squiggles of the letters of the English alphabet. Behind each one of those letters, there is a Letterland character, and it's those letters, those characters, that are going to help the children learn to read, write, and spell in English in a fun way. Letterland's been used around the world for over 50 years, and it is used widely in countries for which English is the first language, its mother tongue, and for countries where English is used as an additional language. So we have materials that cross the boundaries for to meet the needs of the children. We are a research-based program using neurological scientific findings to encourage children, to make them want to learn. We use very much a multisensory approach, so the children see, hear, touch, feel, smell, everything that children enjoy doing, we try to incorporate into our program. But it is systematic. Once the children have learned something, we then keep reviewing it. So it's cumulative. We build on what they have learned. And when the children know a few sounds, then we help them to blend together using a synthetic phonic approach. So all in all, we help the children understand the English language, make it fun and exciting for them, and help it to come alive and inspire them to want to learn more. We use characters within our program, as I've already mentioned, because when children see that plain, boring letter, it's just a squiggle. It's just has no meaning for them at all, other than a shape that they can see. But in the magical world that is Letterland, hiding behind here, we have a character. And this character is Harry Hatman. Harry Hatman helps the children to remember to make the sound that they hear at the beginning of Harry's name, but they also hear when they say, hello, this is my hand. We add to that actions so that the children have another link, another multisensory link to add to their repertoire. So they go onto their hand. And when they go, they can feel that it's hot on their hand. So we're expanding their vocabulary. We're giving them clues about the sound that this uninspiring, unimaginative shape actually makes when they see it in words. But phonics is about the connection between the sound and the shape of the letters. So children have to be able to look at a shape and know which sound it makes so that they can read. But they also have to be able to create those letter shapes for themselves. So we have songs and rhymes that help the children know that when you're making that shape, you start at Harry's head, hurry down to his feet on the ground before bending over to his other heel. He then hops as he makes his sound. So the characters help the children to remember not just the sound, but also the shape of the letter. However, in English, we have yet another problem. The fact that we don't just have one shape per letter. We have uppercase letters and smaller letters, lowercase letters. and the children need to be able to recognize both. Within our Letterland program, we concentrate on the lowercase one, but we do use uppercase at the beginning of proper nouns, the children's names, characters' names, and at the beginning of sentences. We always start with capital letters. So we have stories to link the lowercase and the uppercase so that when Harry is asked to do the very important job of starting his own name, he puts his hands on the ground, his heels in the air. He still keeps his hat on, but now he's doing a handstand because he's so happy to be asked to do this important job. It all is fun and exciting for the children. They really enjoy learning about the characters. They want to learn more. But we don't just teach them about the sounds the letters make, because we have to then help them to blend those sounds together to create the synthetic phonic approach to blending sounds. So when they see hop, they know those sounds, and now they can blend hop. But if hop has a s in front of it, as in the bottom image on the screen at the moment, you don't hear s, hop. You hear the combination of the S and the H together, making that sh sound. So Letterland builds on what the children know and adds to the story. And so they know that Harry, who you can see hops with bare feet because he doesn't like noise, very quiet, aspirant sound. But Sammy is very noisy. And so as it's reflected by the children's own experience when they're being noisy and making lots of noise, a parent or teacher will ask them to hush. So they make that sh sound when they see the S and H together in this digraph form. And so when the children now see the word shop, they know it's sh-op, not s-op. So Letterland uses our characters to inspire the children, to motivate the children, to make the children want to learn about the discovery of language. And we use the whole child. We really engage them with their understanding. We want them to love being engaged as being the hat man. So we would find a hat and ask the children to put a hat on. We talk about dramatizing it so the child can play act hopping around like the hat man. But we also use arts and crafts activities, again, to motivate and engage the children and make them want to learn more. So our aim throughout our Fix It Phonics program is to encourage a real love of the English language using these fun multisensory approaches across the curriculum. So we'll mix things in. We are a language, English language program, but we have to add in what young children need to know about numbers, about shapes, but that's part of their development of the language. So our story-based approach makes learning using Fix It Phonics fun and exciting. The Fix It Phonics materials come in 4 separate levels. Our starter level is an oral approach, which is, again, as I say, multisensory, trying to encourage our very youngest learners to become engaged, to start knowing the difference between red and blue. So it's that first stage of identification and becoming familiar with the use of the English language. Level 1 takes us on to understand the sounds made by the individual letters of the alphabet, and with those sounds, very quickly the children start blending them together to be able to read, write and spell simple words. Our level 2 material will take us further on in this discovery, building from what the children have learned previously. Now they'll be able to take that S and the H, this and the H, and create a sh sound. So bit by bit, stage by stage, the children are adding more and more knowledge. And by the time they get to level 3, we are really talking about more complex spelling patterns, becoming more fluent, more able in the use of English. So building over the years to help the children uncover the fun that we can have. We use a variety of different teaching approaches, both direct and indirect teaching, so that we are capturing the children and motivating them to want to learn, but within a structured format. We use technology. We have Phonics Online, which is a resource which will help the children and help teachers introduce the characters and the sounds they make. And that includes songs, it includes rhymes, it includes our readers, so the children can then blend and read words. It involves a cards tool where the children can identify the sounds that the letters make and then blend them into words, but always making it fun for the children to do the next activity. So let's have a look at our starter level. Fix-It Phonics starter level covers and introduces the 7 aspects of learning about sound. Sounds that children automatically pick up in a normal environment. With native speakers, the children are hearing perhaps the front doorbell ringing, and that identifies to the parent that they have to go and answer the door. And that's what the children will be doing, listening to sounds and identifying what's going on. Excuse me. So the children hear sounds, they hear a bell ringing, they hear a clap, they hear a noise. What do they have to do in relation to that noise? So though we talk about the sounds that they can hear in the environment all around them, we talk about the sounds made by musical instruments of all sorts, perhaps a strum of a guitar or the shake of a rattle. Those sorts of sounds become familiar to the children, as does the sound that the children and parents can make themselves, clapping their hands, tapping. And if you tap against metal, it makes a different sound than if you tap against wood. So again, the children become used to that. Stamping their feet, again, another sound. So the children learn about different sounds in this way, which builds and allows them then to start listening for sounds in words, so that while we're reciting traditional nursery rhymes or reading stories, the children start to hear sounds that are repeated. Knee and tree both feature that long E sound. So the children start listening to that, along with listening for the same sounds at the beginning of words. Sammy, snake, says S in school. So the children can hear all those hissing snake-like sounds at the beginning of the word. These are part of just learning to identify and recognize sounds. They learn to recognize parents' voices from a very early age, and they learn that the different volume or different approach that the parent makes, again, will be recognized by the child and make a difference to them. So it's all about listening for those sounds, hearing sounds, understanding that when I say hat, that's very different from when I say hut. But when we use the words in context, then it makes life easier for the children. I put a hat on my head, but I have a hut at the bottom of my garden. Okay, so we're hearing the difference between that medial vowel sound in that case. And throughout the starter level, we practice these skills so that the children are hearing the sounds that we're making. And also we use patterns, we use pictures, we use items that the children are familiar with to help them with that recognition. We get them to put things in order. We help them to think and use skills. So all the time building their understanding. But it starts with a very friendly approach within a circle time, perhaps. Hello, my name's Leslie. What's your name? And then that child can repeat that and say it to the other children. So around the circle, they're learning the conventional, normal opening greeting that we would use when we meet people. Because when I walk into a classroom, I want the children to feel relaxed and able to say, hello, I'm whatever. My name is Leslie. I am, and we use our age, or we use I like this color, or just language that the children are likely to need and want to need at that early stage. And that builds confidence, helps them to develop their fluency when speaking, and to just feel proud of themselves, so they develop that expression and know that they're doing a good job of being able to say these things. So this circle time conversation starts our lesson to make it fun and interesting and engaging for the children. But then we build on using the starter material activity books and the audio components that go with it. The children can listen to and hear instructions. And one of them might be point to the animal that goes woof. And the children will then have to point, obviously, to the dog. Meow. Which one of those makes a meow sound? It's the cat. Those sounds are part of the environmental sounds that the children may already know and be aware of, but now we're adding the English of dog and cat to those sounds. The arrows within the book point to instructions to help the teacher know what they're trying to achieve, or if the parent's looking at it, the parent would be able to understand as well, as long as they can read the English. So the teaching notes provide all the instruction that the teacher needs at this early stage to try to engage the children, to help them to spot the difference, to speak, to listen, to sing, to move, and to share songs and rhymes. Activities, games that are familiar with all teachers of young children. And within our starter level, we also include a few games within our resource pack, so that they can do a matching game for matching the horses, or spot the difference between, you know, that one and the cow and the cat obviously don't match, so we turn over. So we're playing games about matching. The topics that we cover range for all the things that young learners normally need to learn, whether in their mother tongue or whether in an additional language. The things that they need, like counting, being able to count in the language, to know the different colors, to know that I'm happy or I'm sad. So early stage activities and games that the children would be interested to learn. And throughout this material, the children start to see Letterland characters, so that they're identifying these characters who are going to feature more heavily as they develop through the program. But right from the word go, they'll just become familiar, and the children therefore think that they look interesting and want to learn more about them. So we build as we go through the program. And they will start to hear the characters' names and understand that each of the characters starts with the sound that that letter makes in words. So when I say bouncy, Ben, they hear the B sound at the beginning of bouncy and repeat it again at the beginning of Ben, so that they understand, or they begin to understand, that when they see that black letter shape, they're going to know to make that B sound. And so now when we take the characters away, visually, the children can still think about who's hiding behind that character. Can't see them at the moment, but hiding behind that shape, it's Bouncy Ben who's hiding behind the B shape, or Clever Cat behind the K shape. So we build that knowledge, we build that experience into the very first stages of the children's learning. And our characters are then there to help the children throughout all 26 of the letters used within the English language. We know that some of them are going to make different sounds when they're in different situations, but to begin with, we're just concentrating on those initial sounds, the sounds that the children are going to hear most commonly in words. As they progress to level 1, then they're going to start to need to know more about these sounds. But we don't teach in alphabetical order. We don't teach A, B, C, D. And that's because the order that we use helps children to blend the sounds together orally as quickly as possible. So in Unit 1, we cover S, A, T, and P, S, A, T, and P. That means that after those 4 letters have been learned, the children are already able to move those letters around and blend those letters to be able to read words like sat, or pat, or tap. So even with 4 letters, not knowing any of the others, they start being able to blend sounds together to be able to read. So it's giving them that firm foundation. And then as we add Unit 2, Unit 3, and so on, so the number of letters they have experienced grows, and with that comes a ever expanding vocabulary, another expanding language that they can use. To accompany the materials, we have a Fix-It Phonics Teacher's Guide. And within the teacher's guide, there are step-by-step lesson outlines for each of the lessons that you're going to be covering throughout the year that you're working within level 1. We also include within the teacher's guide an overview so that you can see an outline of what a lesson is going to look like. Each lesson will include a welcome, a review of what the children have learned in previous lessons, because we don't want them to forget what they learned on week 1 by the time they come to week 4. That would be pointless. So we have to keep reviewing and reminding the children about what they've learned previously. But then we introduce a new character, help them with that new sound and some new vocabulary associated with it, make sure the children know about the actions and the activities associated with it, as well as the shape of the letters. So each lesson outline includes ideas for about 90 minutes worth of teaching. And that's all explained on our website, but it's also, you can download a sample lesson which will help you to understand the content and how the books all fit together. Okay, so that can be downloaded from our website. But in brief, the student book, and there are 2 student books in level 1, just because one student book would be too thick and too heavy for the children to carry. So 2 student books provide what the children are going to be taught about each one of the characters. So they're going to be introduced to Red Robot, who makes that sound at the beginning of words like rain, river, and rice. They're going to sing a song about Red Robot, and they're going to practice that letter shape. And it's all very well doing that in a student book and having these bright, colourful resources to encourage the children to remember who the character is and what sound it makes, but they then need to practice whatever they've been taught. And so there are, accompanying the student books, workbooks, and it's within the workbooks that the children are going to practice whatever they've been taught. So they will think about the character and think about what they are learning about Red Robot. So how do we teach? We start by introducing Red Robot. We get the children to repeat the sound that they hear at the beginning of Red Robot's name, the sound. And then we see if they can already identify any other words in the picture that might begin with that same sound. The children might know about rain or even a rainbow. They probably know the color red. They might be able to identify a rabbit or a raccoon. So there's lots of vocabulary within the picture, but for each of the lessons within level 1, we are focusing on 3 specific words. And the 3 words associated with Red Robot are rain, river, and rice. As I say, there's plenty more vocabulary in there, but we provide keyword cards with those 3 images there that link with Red Robot to help the children remember that R sound at the beginning of rain, river, rice. And then within the workbook, they can practice that. Can they find rain, river, and rice? And I put blocks on as to where those things are, but the children might put a circle around it or might tick it, or that's up to you what they're going to do, but I've just put blocks of color on. So that's the first activity that they will be doing, identifying those sounds. Within this activity, what the children are trying to do is spot the odd one out. They know rain, so that's okay, that belongs to Red Robot. They know rice and river, but what's this? It's a cake. That doesn't have the R sound, nor do eggs. The children have already learnt that vocabulary, so they put circles around the ones that are odd, or then they put a cross through them, and then they put lines drawing the ones that do begin with that correct sound to Red Robot. So we're again helping the children to focus on the sound and understand that sound. Further activities, the children can draw something else. Now, it may be something that they see in the picture, or it may be something that they know about, a rocket or something that they found for themselves. Doesn't matter, the children are focusing on the sound and building on from that. You'll have noticed at the bottom of the page when we're talking about the vocabulary, you've also got move and chant, and that's to get that link with an action associated with each of our characters. Red Robot likes to run, but it's a robotic sort of robot run that he does. And all the characters have actions associated with them. They also all have songs associated with them.
Let's sing.
Red Robot says rrr, says rrr. Red Robot says rrr, says rrr.
Let's sing.
No, we've sung that, so that's fine. And those songs, along with the story about the character, some words, all feature within our Phonics online. Those of you who have been using Letterland for longer may be using our Fix-It Phonics software. Those of you new to Letterland will be using our latest product, which is our Phonics online.
Hello, my name is Red Robot. I say Let's say my name together. Red Robot. And again. Red Robot. Let's say my sound together. And again. I start words like rain, river, and rice. Say the words with me.
Rain, river, rice.
Once more.
Rain,
river,
river, rice.
R.
So the Phonics Online helps the children, again, to see something different and identify. So it's not always only the teacher's voice they're hearing the characters talking to the children. We have a big book which the children can look at in groups, and therefore it's the same image that they have in their student book, but again, it's there to encourage them to look and see what they can see in that picture in a group activity. Practicing within the workbook to form that letter shape, whether it's using our dots to join the letters, whether it's creating what we call rainbow writing, where the children use different colored pens to create the letter shape. It just is about making sure that the children are remembering how they create that shape. When possible, we like to use multi-sensory activity, and yes, you can use sand in a sand pit or water on a tray or whatever, but here I've just put some rice on a very small red tray, and the children can then make the shape. Very easy to then brush it back together again, and another child can have another try. So there are all sorts of quick and easy activities that we can link in to make it fun for the children. We also have apps so that the children can use interactive materials to practice as well. So the Letterland has, within its range of materials, many additional supportive materials, but they are all trying to encourage the children to remember about the sound and the shape of the letters of the alphabet. And what we also teach within Letterland is that all our letters in the English language move across the page in what we call the reading direction. They move from the left and we read to the right. Now, by doing that, we're actually helping the children with their letter formation. For instance, Jumping Jim. Jumping Jim has to have his legs bouncing behind him when he jumps, because, well, you try jumping with your legs in front of you, it doesn't work. You would fall. See, and your knees don't bend that way. So his legs curl behind him as he jumps through Letterland. So we encourage that approach within our teaching. But as I said earlier, we want to include topics that are relevant to children. So, hello, what's your name? How are you? How old are you? What are you wearing? Have you got a red jacket? Can you wave? Can you point? Can you smile? All these are topics that are familiar and want to be familiar to young children. So within our talk time, we review vocabulary that's previously been learned, and we encourage the use of and the understanding of more and more vocabulary. And that's where we're starting. But then we need to blend the sounds together because the children need to read. Blending the sound together in the reading direction, because that's the order that we put the letters so that we can blend them together. So our reading direction helps not only with the shape of the letter, but also with blending those sounds together. The children have learned that Sammy Snake says S, that Annie Apple says ah, that Talking Tess says t. And now we can put those sounds together, s, a, t, sat. Some children struggle with, they may know the characters, they may know the sounds, but they struggle with that next stage of blending. So again, we make it multi-sensory and engaging the children in whatever way we can. We use our arms because not all classrooms have slides. And so we put our arms and use that as a sound slide. And we would tap, s, a, t, and then blend down our arm to make the word sat. Or we might ask the children to hold the cards and say the sounds and then blend them together. So we have different teaching techniques to help the children be able to look at the sounds, see that word, but then think, I'm not sure about this. Rat. So they're blending those sounds together and then using it in relation to an image or a story or a something, so that the children know that when we're talking about rat, this is the animal to which we refer. And so we would use the word in context. Run. And again, the children love to run. And that's helping us with our reading, but to help us with our spelling, we also have to help the children listen for the sounds that they're hearing. Up. What sound do we hear at the beginning of up? We need the so the children have to create the form so that we can read the word up the stairs. What color is this? Red. What do we hear at the beginning of red? We hear a so we need to put the into this word. Okay, so that's what we're doing when we're spelling. And that's why I always say that teachers try to slow your speech so that the children can hear the individual sounds within the words. Say them slowly, then the children can hear and identify the sounds that they need. When they see a word written, then they're trying to blend it to read red. Which one of the objects represents the red? Draw a line towards it. So again, we're just helping the children to build their confidence, their experience, their knowledge. There are many, many products that you can use to supplement and complement the children's repertoire, if you like. We have magnets that they can use to build words, or you might like to use our flip-flap phonics, where the letters can be changed so the children can read rat, or rug. 3 sounds blending together to make one word. So that's what we're doing with the flip-flap phonics. We also have a range of readers, which are written in line with the sounds that the children have learnt so far. So on the front of the book, you would see which sounds are included within that. It's progressive, obviously. The first book actually features the SAT and P within the level 1 materials, whereas by the time you get to unit 2, it would be the next book that you would be using, and so on and so forth. The Red Robot book, which I think is in group 4, Red Robot Runs. So the children have got more sounds that they know, and then so they should be able to read these books. But it's more than just saying the words, it's do they understand it? So within our materials, we also have some comprehension questions. What color rug did Red Robot grab? Well, when you're looking at the picture, you can probably guess what color the rug was, but if the children read the story, they'll also understand that it was the red rug that the Red Robot gets and runs away with. So that's what we're trying to achieve within our reading materials. As the children progress, so they have to start blending adjacent consonants, because we still want the children to recognize those individual sounds, but now the individual sounds are coming close together. B, U, make separate sounds, but when we say blue or black or blend, we're hearing the B followed by the U and being able to identify those sounds because we've already learned them. We know those sounds, but now when they're close together, they're not changing sound, they're not making a different sound, they're still being heard, but they are close together, and we have to listen for and hear those individual sounds in words. And so as the children's experience and knowledge grows, so we're taking them on to this level so that they can blend those adjacent consonants and hear each and every one of those sounds and identify them for reading and hear them when they're spelling. Level 1 material, the end of level 1 material takes us on to thinking about vowels, because each of our vowels doesn't just make one sound, it makes at least 2 sounds. When the children see this letter shape, to begin with, they'll think that hiding behind here is Annie Apple, and that is on this card who it is. It's Annie Apple who makes the A sound. But as you all know, in English, those vowels make different sounds. And it might be that hiding behind here is Mr. A. And Mr. A looks after the apples in the apple orchard, but he says his name. So it's good day to Mr. A, who makes that A sound in many words. And it's an introduction to that you get within the level 1 material. We will follow this up further in level 2, where we start to identify all those different spelling patterns associated with the long vowel sounds. So you'll hear Mr. A's sound, but it might be spelt with one of these spelling patterns. And there are others. So that's not the full story, but that's a start. And that's the way that we're progressing with our introduction to an understanding of the sounds made by those letters. So we use, as you can tell, various different teaching techniques. We sing, we tell rhymes, we get the children to listen for sounds that are the same, get them to think about words that rhyme with each other. We get them to do arts and crafts. We get them to do whatever we can to be encouraged to enjoy that learning experience, because we want our children to enjoy, to be happy, and make learning fun for them all. And that really is the joy of Letterland, the joy of our Fix It Phonics programme, which was originally designed by Lynn Wendon. And Lynn Wendon joins me and all of us at Letterland in wishing you and your children a wonderful journey into the world of Letterland, and we hope it gives them a lifelong love of learning English. Thank you for being with me throughout this session. Please do look at our website and find more details and more information about us there. Please join us on social media, get involved with us on Twitter or on Facebook. And if you have any questions at all about anything to do with the implementation of Letterland within your environment, your school, your centre, please don't hesitate to email training@letterland.com, where one of us will be more than happy to help you in any way we can. Thank you for watching this presentation. Have a very good day. Goodbye to you all.